Sorry, buddy, we're taking your water. I felt the cold barrel of a gun pressed against my head, and I braced for the worst, a stabbing pain in the back of my head, and I woke up in the hospital. Of all things, they didn't take our money. They took our water. How did that happen? How did we end up getting robbed for water? Hi, my name is John Gilmore, and I almost died getting robbed from my family's water supply. It's something that just shouldn't happen. Not in our day and age. But it did. And that dreadful experience forced me to look for an alternative on-demand water supply. Something that I could use day in and out without stockpiling and without putting my family in danger ever again. So stick with me for the next 5 minutes and I'll show you an amazing invention that the Israeli army, one of the most advanced armies in the world, uses to provide fresh water for their soldiers, even in the middle of the desert. You'll learn how they generate vast amounts of water in places where they can't dig wells or get it through pipes. And you'll learn how you can do it too, no matter where you live. Hint, it has to do with moisture in the air. But before we get into that, I want you to know why I got robbed, why it happened to me, and why it might happen to you too. So what I'm about to tell you right now, you might find disturbing. According to NASA, we're going to face a 100-year-long drought. A drought more devastating than the 1930s Dust Bowl that forced America to plunge into crisis and left millions of people without the basics of life, like water and food. And this is not something that's going to happen in 50 years, in 20 years, or in 5. This is already here. It's already begun, over a decade ago. The past 20-year drought in California is the beginning, and the worst is yet to come because it's about to spread. The drought is so big that it will affect the entire continent, from Canada to Mexico, and it doesn't have anything to do with global warming, but with a strange weather pattern that happens once every 1,000 years. And the worst part is, this drought will crush our American civilization with the way of life we hold so dear, because we're completely unprepared. The mainstream ways for finding or storing water to quench your family's thirst will soon be useless. And relying on them will actually make you vulnerable and dependent on FEMA, the government greedy water suppliers. Or even worse, they put a big bullseye on your house, making you the best target for looters that will kill for a sip of water. A continental drought is just like a nuclear winter. Chances are you survived the blast, but you might wish you didn't if you're not prepared for what comes next, because everything's gone. Water is either gone or it's toxic. Plants die, animals die, and anarchy sets in. Ordinary people will turn to monsters over basic needs like food and water. And one thing's for sure, stockpiling water isn't the answer. I have a scar on my head to prove just that after my family and I got robbed of our water supply. You need to be prepared. You need to have a constant, reliable, portable off-grid water source. And in this short presentation, you'll learn how to do just that. Because the incredible invention that I'm about to show you actually extracts water out of surrounding air. It's a portable water generator that gives up to 50 gallons of water per day. So it doesn't matter if all the wells are dried out, or if you live in the desert, where it's so dry that even all the cactuses died. This method makes you truly independent. You'll never have to rely on a water well that might dry out soon or rain harvesting, if you're lucky enough to have rain, and if you live in one of the states where harvesting is not banned yet. So please stick with me for a few more minutes because you're about to find out how to tap into nature's secret water reservoir. As I said, my name is John Gilmore. You might know me from Survivalopedia.com. I'm a writer and editor there. People usually seek my advice because I specialize in wilderness survival, and because I spent almost 2 decades studying every last type of survival situation. I try to help everyone I can, giving them practical, safe guidance that would actually make a difference in survival scenarios. And even more important, I'm a proud father and husband. I live on a small farm in Arizona with my wife and my 14-year-old son. And we're self-sufficient people. We grow our own food and built our own house. We even dug our own well to have all the water we needed. But little did we know this drought was going to hit us so hard. 2 years ago, our well completely dried out. Each year, the water level in our well seemed to be dropping more and more, and last year it finally gave up on us. We didn't really panic because we had stockpiled a water supply of about 500 gallons, and we knew it should last us long enough until we could dig a new one. A couple of nights after, we applied for a new well. I heard noises outside the house. I grabbed my rifle and rushed out to see what it was. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. 2 men were loading our water barrels into their truck. They didn't try to break in. They weren't looking for money or electronics. They were stealing the water we relied on for our survival. I felt a rush of rage and anger building inside me. I felt I could shoot them both right there on my property. But before I could aim my rifle, I felt the cold barrel of a gun pressed upon my neck. "Sorry, pal, we're taking your water." It was the third robber. He was probably on the lookout. I got caught up in the moment and I didn't see him sneaking up behind me. Before I had the chance to say anything, he hit me with his gun. I felt a thump and this excruciating pain in the back of my head, and I lost consciousness. The last thing I remember was his stench brushing up on me as he ran away. I woke up in the hospital and thank God my family was there. They were both safe and unharmed, praying for me to wake up. Honestly, I'd never been so thankful and happy in my life, being able to hug them and tell them how much I loved them, being alive. I was clinically dead when they brought me to the ER. My wife found me in a pool of my own blood after the water thieves left, and my doctor told me it was nothing short of a miracle that I recovered after all the blood I'd lost. After I came back from the hospital, I just wasn't myself. I couldn't believe anyone would do such a thing. It's the stuff I'd expect to see in movies, not in my own house. But drought turns people into savages. I was angry. I felt this choking cloak of anger clouding my judgment. What happens if the drought continues? What will people become? Will they even kill for water? And the one simple and rotten answer is, yes, they will. People are already desperate. This has only just begun, and they're already turning into animals. What will they do when the nationwide drought hits? So I knew I had to find an alternative to the common water sources, something that would give me and my family water on demand without the dangers of stockpiling and the logistic nightmare of digging a new well every year, something that would be reliable both in the comfort of our home, or if, God forbid, we had to bug out and leave everything behind to save our lives. Now, having specialized in wilderness survival for over 20 years, I've come across a few concepts and working principles on how to generate water. But it wasn't something that I was really familiar with. I knew how to harvest water in the wild, but not at the level I needed for my entire family and my house. So I reached out to my contacts in the survival and off-grid community. I wanted to know more about what was causing all this and what I could do to reach my water independence goal. And what I found out shocked me. I discovered that we might be at war for water. The fight to grab the remaining water has already started in America. The big players are already stockpiling the remaining water sources. It's a covered-up civil war. On one side are the corporations, who buy all the water reserves they can, and our government, who's trying to pass EPA regulations that give the feds the right to confiscate our water on your lands as they see fit. On the other side, it's you and me, the people who have no power to fight them, all those who are forced to pay for dirty tap water or their expensive bottled water. So why are they doing this? It's because of what NASA's predicting. NASA has scientific proof that we're facing a drought that will last 100 years. A 100 years mega drought similar to the one that wiped out the American continent 1,000 years ago. There's a reason why no real civilization developed on the American continent until the coming of European immigrants in the 17th century. Until then, North America wasn't fit for modern life, for agriculture, and for building villages and cities. Why? Because for hundreds of years, North America was a wasteland. In fact, in December 2012, Columbia University published a frightening report. They found out that from around the year 900 and up to the year 1300, there was a mega drought on the American continent. It was so extreme that we have no modern comparison, but it was the only known time and place it ever happened. The bad news is that history repeats itself, and these harsh conditions that wiped our continent are returning. This is why NASA uses expensive satellites to study water both above and below the ground. Take Lake Mead, for example. The largest water reservoir in the U.S. has now sunk to a record low. It reached its lowest level since the lake was first filled out in 1930. And that's not all. There are plenty of lakes in California just vanishing because of the high demand from households and parched farmers. The lakes just don't have enough time to fill themselves before they're drained dry again and again. And the result is shocking. Here's the picture of Lake Oroville that reveals the shriveling effects of the drought. Just imagine, when the drought starts to get worse, and there's no proof of it getting any better, lakes like these will disappear in as little as 3 years. What's frightening is there's water disappearing all throughout the North American continent, not just here in the U.S. We're turning into a desert. The Canadian Lake Superior, the world's largest freshwater lake, has dropped to its lowest level in 81 years. And that's not all. The Ogallala Aquifer, America's largest underground water source that supplies most of our wells and springs, is shrinking because of too much demand. It will be devastating to millions of people. In fact, when the Dust Bowl overtook the Great Plains in the 1930s and the Ogallala Aquifer hadn't been discovered, the result was death, famine, and the ones that were lucky enough, relocation. We all saw or heard about the consequences. Because of drought, people's lives changed dramatically. For example, a family of 3 from East Porterville says they bathe by filling a bucket from the tank in the front yard, carrying it inside, and pouring water over their heads with a cup. Just imagine how it's like to flush the toilet and nothing happens. It's like you switch to the dark ages overnight. And thousands of crops are disappearing all throughout our country. People dying of thirst and dehydration, old folks suffering from heat strokes. But most people don't know that that's going to get a lot worse. As the New York Times reports, on the 5th assessment of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, they mentioned in each of the next 80 years, America is expected to see less and less rainfall than in 2004, for instance, when the drought started. In fact, all these dots connect to a bigger picture. The American continent, from Canada to Mexico, is returning to the norm of 1,000 years ago, meaning 90% of the water we have now will be gone sooner than you think. There won't be any water for people to cook or wash, not even to drink. And that's when viruses will start to spread, just like it's happening in Africa. Diseases and infections that start with leaving your mouth and skin dry, then headaches, rapid heartbeats, and fever. People will fight over a sip of water just to stay alive. And because most of our crops will be gone, we'll have to fight over scraps so we don't starve. All this will lead to downright war. In the U.S., the people in power already know how catastrophic the drought will be. And that's why the corporations and our government work together to secure all the water resources for themselves. This means all the water on the American continent will be in their hands, and they'll have federal authority over your water and land, and could seize it at any time. I, for one, decided to put my family first, to protect my loved ones and our independence no matter what. I couldn't rely on wells, and neither can any American. NASA warns that 100,000 wells are about to dry out this year alone. As the drought gets worse, eventually, every well will dry out. And if the drought wasn't enough, everything happening in Europe will plunge us into the biggest food and financial crisis of recorded times. Prices on everything from bread to water to fuel are already skyrocketing, hitting record highs. The way I see it, I cannot rely on anyone but myself in the coming water war. I can't even rely on the water I might have on my land or even underground because they plan to take it from me. But what can we do? Thankfully, my friends that I reached out to from the international survival community told me about a hidden gemstone, an innovative secret technology the Israeli army uses that makes water from the surrounding area, even in the desert. It's nothing like an expensive desalination or a huge water drilling station. It's a simple device that transforms moisture from the air around us into water. It's the ultimate portable endless spring. A chemistry professor invented this unique system that taps into a virtually unlimited water source. This device uses the simple water condensation principle. It takes the humidity out of the air and transforms it into water. It then filters it and gives up to 50 gallons of water per day. It all sounded perfect until I found out how much it would cost me. Some greedy corporations got their hands on the technology, and they're selling these machines to regular folks. Well, regular folks who can afford to pay from $6,000 up to $10,000. They're selling them for such a high price because they know the U.S. will soon be desperate for water. It was obvious I couldn't afford one, so I thought to myself, maybe I can reverse engineer it and build one on my own. And this device was exactly what I needed. It completely eliminated the hassle of spending a small fortune on bottled water or drilling new wells and stockpiling water altogether. And I knew it would give me fresh, clean water because it comes straight from the air, so I won't have to rely on tap water and untrustworthy filters anymore. That means it's not water from some contaminated lake or well, so you don't have to worry about fluoride, heavy metals like lead and arsenic, or cancer-causing pesticides. And the best part is it can generate water for free because the system can be run both on-grid and completely off-grid. So not only you'll have an evergreen fresh water spring at your disposal, but you'll also be able to save money on those ever-growing utility bills. And since the Israeli army uses this simple device to give them 50 gallons of water per day in the middle of the desert, you know it's going to work anywhere, no matter how dry it is in your area. So I decided to build my own water generator, because spending thousands of dollars on one of these machines wasn't really an option for me. I didn't have the money in the first place, so I set myself a limit of $300. If it cost even a penny over my budget, I would quit the project and look for other options. First, I started to make some blueprints. I already had the device in mind, so I put it on paper and sent them to a buddy of mine that makes water coolers. He explained a few essentials I got wrong, but I knew the device was already proven to work, so it was just a matter of time till I got it right. I made some adjustments and sent him the sketches again, and this time they were bang on. So I started working on it. I'm not going to lie, I had some hard times putting it together the first time. It was frustrating, to say the least. But after a couple of weeks locked in my garage, I'd finally pulled it off. I'd made my own air fountain, and it cost me a little less than my initial budget of $300. This device gives me up to 10 gallons of fresh, pure, and clean water per day for my entire family and me to use, and it costs less than 10 cents per hour to keep it running, less electricity than keeping a TV on, and that's if I choose to run it on grid, of course. But what if I choose to run it off-grid? All those years studying and learning survival skills and methods got me thinking, why pay money for water at all? Why not go off-grid? At least just for the air fountain. I know going entirely off-grid, house and everything, means a lot of money invested in either solar panel systems or wind turbines. But powering up the air fountain, that should be cheap and easy. I started looking for a solution. So I turned again to my friends in the off-grid community and got a lot of positive feedback and some pretty interesting ideas. I got to work, and a month later, I'd solved it. My air fountain was running on 100% green off-grid electricity. The process was rough, but in the end, I managed to simplify the designs and the materials down to basic things everyone would have access to. All it took was a car battery and a few scraps I had lying around the house and garage. Now, this is optional, of course. The air fountain works perfectly plugged in the usual grid. It's just something I know will come in handy, though, is both the air fountain and its off-grid power source are portable, so it makes a great addition for any scenario life might throw at us. When I finished putting everything together, I was so happy I found my own portable oasis that I had to show it off. I called a couple of my friends to see what I've been working on, and they couldn't believe it. Each and every one of them asked me if I could build one for them, and I did. The best part is, since I already knew how to make it, it took me less than 20 minutes to build others. And the results just kept coming. I was even able to walk some of them through the simple process of building their own foul-proof water supply and getting fresh water out of thin air, protected from the surrounding drought no matter where they lived. Everyone kept telling me to share my system with the world, but I wasn't crazy about the idea. I didn't like the attention it brought to me. But I soon realized that my minor soreness was nothing compared to the avalanche of comfort that takes over people when they realize they won't ever have to worry about their families and loved ones suffering from thirst, even in the direst situations. Plus, my wife came up with this great idea. She thought I should make some kind of step-by-step tutorial so people could put together their own air fountain. Ultimately, this is about helping people in the coming water war against these greedy corporations and our power-hungry government. So I decided my wife was right, and I started putting together a step-by-step program. And after almost a year of scrupulous testing to make sure anyone can use it, translating everything into plain simple English for a quick and easy read, and putting every single step on a clean-cut video that walks you through the entire process, the air fountain system was born. It's the only proven to work A to Z blueprint on how to survive America's upcoming 100-year-long drought, and the easiest step-by-step video guide that anyone can use to build their own thin air water generator, no matter if you have no money to spend on a ridiculous off-the-shelf $10,000 device. I put together these simple instructions so you can provide clean, fresh water for your family, no matter what's heading our way. No matter if you don't have the time or patience to go through trials and errors. No matter if you've never built anything before, not even an IKEA chair. Look, when I finished my air fountain research, I knew I had found a goldmine. The benefits are nothing short of amazing. You won't need the grid. The air fountain taps into a virtually unlimited supply of fresh, crystal clear, healthy water, because the device collects moisture from the air, even in the driest deserts of Israel, and transforms it into water. It's an endless reservoir of fresh H2O. And you'll discover how to put together your own air fountain system for under $300 in under 30 minutes of your time. You won't need the space. If space is a problem for you, you'll never have to worry again about storing water, because you only have to turn on the air fountain and it will make water on demand. Or if you want to store water, all you need to do is leave it on, and it will make as much water as you need. And the entire air fountain system weighs under 10 pounds, so you can put it in a backpack and bug out if you ever need to, without having to drag around gallons of water and break your back whenever you go camping. Plus, there's almost no maintenance required. Just put the system outside or even inside, turn it on, and you'll have fresh drinking water in a matter of minutes. And the easy-to-use air fountain system can provide you with another colossal advantage. It gives you crucial time to do more essential things in a crisis. While others will be busy dumpster diving for food, your miniature water plant takes care of itself. You'll have more time to protect your family, to learn a valuable skill you can barter with, or be the Captain Picard of your community. More and more people are enjoying the benefits that come with the air fountain system because this step-by-step guide was designed for everyone. No expensive, tricky filters or unaffordable desalinization plants. In just 30 minutes, Air Fountain turns you into a drought survival expert with your own evergreen water supply. And just imagine never having to buy another bottle of bottled water in your life. You'll be able to immediately cut your water bill by up to 90% and save thousands of dollars in the coming year alone. That's just a taste of what the air fountain does for you. And now, you too can join in on this life-saving system. So here's my promise. If you can push play and watch a short video once, you have all you need to make your own personal water plant and have an endless source of fresh, clean water for anything heading our way. Air Fountain System is the solution if you want to be water self-sufficient. It's an A to Z, step-by-step, take-you-by-the-hand blueprint and video guide for having your own personal water generator up and running by the end of the day. But even though I've tried to make the program as complete as possible, I know that there will always be more questions. That's why with the program, you also get unlimited email access, where you get to ask me just about everything related to the Air Fountain System. Oh, and believe it or not, there's more. If you get the Air Fountain System right now, you'll also receive 3 exclusive reports completely free of charge. Each of them is filled with strategies and recommendations to help you with your water supply and to shield yourself and your family from the coming 100-years-long drought. Please keep in mind that this is a one-time offer, only available if you get the Air Fountain System right now, and soon this deal might be off the table. First, you'll get How to Secure Your Water Reserves, the ultimate guide for water storage. You already have the perfect solution to make as much water as you need. This special report will show you all the must-know strategies and best-kept secrets if you really need to stockpile the water you're generating. I wouldn't have ended up in the hospital 2 years ago if I had an amazing knowledge packed in this report. You'll learn about all the important tools and equipment you need, the best and most surprising places where you can keep your water, how to keep your water running even on freezing days, and much more. You'll never second-guess yourself anymore when it comes to your water stash. Second, you'll get How to Purify and Mineralize Water, a special report on how to get rid of expensive filters and make sure you're drinking only the healthiest water. It gives you all the DIY techniques to purify any kind of water and turn it into crystal clear fresh H2O. You'll find out how 9 secret techniques to get the most from even the dirtiest water source. Discover everything you'll ever need to know about filtration, boiling, solar water disinfection, how iodine works, and more. You'll even get to know the insider secret about how you can use banana peels to filter water, and everything you need to know about water remineralization. This is important because you'll need the minerals in your water, especially if you can't eat properly or you've been out in the nauseating heat. So no matter what happens, you'll have the power to turn any kind of water into fresh, clean, healthy H2O. And finally, you'll get my special report, The Deadly Agents Hidden in Your Water. This special course shows you everything you need to know about the invisible toxins in your water. Even though your water may seem perfectly safe to drink, you might be in for a world of pain. This special report gives you all the information and knowledge to identify each and every one of these poisonous substances, from fluoride, arsenic, and lead to parasitic protozoa, parasitic worms, and other viruses and bacteria. Plus, you'll find out the 6 ways nature contaminates your water and how to stay away from them. This unique guide will give you practical knowledge to prevent and treat waterborne infections and expose ineffective water purification methods and equipment that actually do more harm than good, so you'll know what to stay away from and what's actually safe. If sold separately, each of these reports would cost $49, but today I'm willing to give them to you completely free of charge if you get the Air Fountain course right now. But before I tell you how you can do that, let me ask you this. How much is it worth to you to literally never feel all the nerve-wracking stress and uncertainty every time you pour yourself a glass of water ever again? And knowing that whatever might be heading our way, you and your family will always have the essence of life at your disposal, without ever worrying that the well will dry out. You are literally just 30 minutes away from the only unlimited water source you'll ever need, and this guide will walk you through each and every step to do it. You don't need to know anything about plumbing, chemistry, or engineering. No intricate mechanisms or overly complicated circuits or pipes. This video is so easy to follow. My 14-year-old son put together his own air fountain in under 30 minutes all by himself. You'll get instant access to all the resources and power not only to have clean, pure water for the rest of your life, but go through the worst drought humanity has ever seen. You'll have the power to handle yourself in any type of disaster. You know how water is the first thing to get cleared off the shelves before a hurricane? Well, you will never have this problem anymore. In fact, no matter what might be heading our way, this portable device will supply water for you, your family, and even an entire community if you use the simple scaling secret you'll find inside. And plus, in a drought-stricken America, where water becomes the ultimate resource, where the essence of life becomes scarcer than gold, this is the ultimate bartering tool. You'll have the power to haggle for anything with anyone, because when everybody else will be begging for a sip of water, you'll have a device that creates it out of surrounding air. You'll have the power to shield your family and loved ones, and even to rebuild your community during the worst of times, because this device is capable of giving you an abundance of fresh, clean, and pure water, no matter how dry it's going to be. Water is the only source for food, energy, and health, and you and your loved ones will be safe while the rest of the world will be struggling not to give in to hunger, fear, disease, and despair, like it's already happening all over Africa, Latin America, and countries in Asia like India, Bangladesh, China, and Nepal. I researched and worked like a madman to build my own air fountain until I finally was able to perfect it. I spent over a year to make sure I give the easiest, most simple, and easy-to-follow instructions so anyone can build one. And I did all that so you'll never have to worry about how much you spend on water. No matter how high the prices will skyrocket, you'll never worry about how safe your tap water is, and you'll never have to worry the spring is going dry. So how much is having a device like this worth to you? Just think about the amount of money you spend on water now. The average American drinks 180 gallons of bottled water per year. If a gallon costs $7, then you're spending about $1,260 each year on bottled water. And that's just for one person. Think about how much you probably spend for your entire family. The cost for a gallon of tap water is almost 200 times less than a gallon of bottled water. So you could stop buying bottled water to spend less, but we all know that would basically mean risking your life. Whenever I showed my air fountain to my friends, I asked them how much they'd pay to have something like this in their home, and all of them said they'd pay over $1,000. I guess that's why corporations can afford to sell them for so much, even though it couldn't possibly cost them over $500 to make one. So I'm not going to ask you to invest $1,000 in this program, even though I know it's worth at least that. It won't cost you $500 either. Heck, it won't even cost you $247, even though my wife tells me that should be the absolute minimum I should offer this training course for because it's so valuable. No, I decided to do something that might sound a bit crazy. I'm going to set the price of the air fountain system at just $89. But as long as this presentation is up, I'll let you have the complete program plus the 3 bonus reports for just $39 today. But the only way to secure your spot in the program is to click the order button now. I can't guarantee that I can keep this price for longer, especially since we're giving unlimited email support. So don't get mad if you come here in a few days and see that the price has gone back up. And really, the price doesn't even matter. That's because you're covered by John Gilmore's no questions asked money-back guarantee for 2 whole months. Here's how this works. Just say maybe to the air fountain program. If you ever watched a short video and followed simple instructions, then you already have all you need to know to have an endless supply of fresh, crystal clear, delicious water for you and your family. I've made this as newbie-friendly as I could. Watch this short and simple video. It takes less than an episode of MASH to know how to make an air fountain system. You have to be completely thrilled with how easy this is to build and with how much water you'll be making in the first 2 months alone, or simply send me an email in the next 60 days and I'll give you a full refund, no questions asked. It'll be hard to find a better proposition than this. So just to recap, you'll get the air fountain step-by-step video guide, blueprints, and written course, plus all 3 bonuses: how to store and secure your water reserves, how to purify and mineralize any water, and the deadly agents hidden in your water. However, today you'll be able to get all of them for a one-time only special offer for just $39. Now, in this presentation, you've seen how not having a reliable water source and stockpiling to make ends meet almost got my family and me killed, and how water is disappearing on the entire American continent, that we're facing a 100-year-long drought, and everyone in this country is at life-threatening risk. I've shown you how water prices are taking a double whammy when greedy companies and the power-hungry government are seizing control of the most valuable free resource that Mother Nature has given us. And I've shown you why the Air Fountain step-by-step video guide and blueprint is the best way to take towards securing an endless supply of clean, fresh water while being prepared for that disaster that's looming over our heads each and every day. Now the ball is in your court, because this presentation is almost over, and this website may not be up when you return. The way I see it, you have three options. Ignore everything I said, hope things are going to get better, hope our wells won't dry out, our water will clean themselves, and keep buying bottled water for you and your family, even though the prices are basically skyrocketing, and sooner than later you're going to have to take on a second mortgage just to make sure your family doesn't die of thirst. Or you could stop buying bottled water. You could invest $17,000 in digging a well, rely on rain harvesting, gather a huge stash of water, or even try your luck with purifying tap water. But all of us know how dangerous that is. You might not notice the taste of all the lead, fluoride, or even cancer-causing substances like thallium. But what about your kids? What if one of them gets a serious virus from this poison that passes for tap water nowadays? Is this really worth risking your family's life? Or you can get the Air Fountain special program right now. It's the only proven-to-work material out there. If you want your family to be secure, healthy, to have all the water they need, get the Air Fountain system right now. When others will kill for a sip of water, your family will have enough to drink and cook and even shower. This is about your family, its comfort, and its safety. So wouldn't you trade 4 hours and a risk-free deal for the chance to live a worry-free life? It's your decision, but I think you already know what needs to be done. Remember, you're getting all my hard-earned lessons in a beginner-friendly Air Fountain package, plus my 3 special reports along with unlimited access via email for life. All this without risking a dime. So go ahead and click the Order Now button below. I'll be waiting for you with a special message in the members area and with another bonus that's too hot to mention here. Still here? Let me answer a few common questions I keep getting about the Air Fountain system. If the generating water from thin air is so good, why aren't more people doing it? There are plenty of reasons for that. First is the price of a retail system. At $6,000 or more, not many people can afford it. Second, it's the fear factor. Most people think this is too complex to build. They are partly right because it can get very tricky to start building one on your own. The fact is, water harvesting is easy when you have the proper blueprints. How hard will this be to make? This is so simple and easy to build, you'll kick yourself for not doing it earlier. The whole thing takes 2 hours if you're slow, doesn't require strength, and the most difficult task you'll do is just a bit of cutting. That's all, and really there's no excuse for not giving it a try. In fact, if you don't want to lift a finger, you can still do this. Just pay someone $50 to watch the short video and put together the system for you. How long will this take? It will take you a little over 30 minutes to watch the video, and that's it. Building the system takes under 2 hours, a lot less if someone's helping you. I don't have a lot of space. Will this work for me? Not only will it work for you, but it's probably the best setup you could hope for. That's because you can make use of any space, not just a backyard, but also a balcony. And the best thing is, I designed the Air Fountain system so it wouldn't kill my tiny yard. That is, the whole system takes less than 10 square feet. I live in a hot and arid state. Will this work for me? It definitely will. Water harvesting works even better in hot climates, and it's a must-have, especially if you live in hot states, because those are the ones getting hit by drought first. Can I supply water for my entire house with this? The Air Fountain system can definitely supply an entire house, but it all comes down to how much water you're actually using. The system can be scaled to give you as much water as you want, and adding new modules is easy as pie once you understand the simple principles behind how the Air Fountain system works. Is this really risk-free? Yes, as I said, you're covered by my 2 months, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. If for any reason you want to return the program, you have 60 full days to do so. No hassles, no gimmicks, no hard feelings. That's why it's crucial that if you decide to try the Air Fountain, you do it fast. So why not do it now? Spend 30 minutes watching a simple video for a lifetime of savings and safety. So go on, click on the Order Now button below and let the Air Fountain system give you the peace of mind you deserve. Thank you for watching this presentation. I'm John